We've sold out the season tickets again this year, but it's 200 less than last year. How was what? What? I don't understand. How does someone explain that to me? How does that happen? Are we like renovating and we took out 200 seats, or did they convert 200 seats away from season tickets into like box seats or something for like sponsorship? I don't understand. Hello, my friends. We've had ourselves a bit of a transfer window. Lots to cover. I always go, oh, what can I show you? What can I show you? First off, we've been allowed to have more scouts and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna try and have stuff pop up next to me. Here, hold on. Editor GHG. This is when things start popping up. Okay, got it. Oh, except my Photos app is broken because I took some screenshots. Here we go. Let's try it again. Come on, Photos app. Oh no, it's giving me the circle. Oh, there it is. Okay. Something is amiss at Roma because 5 of their scouts applied to join our staff. That seems odd to me. We did sign the one there that has the 19 adaptability, Alessio Cuscinello, something like that. It cost us $950,000 in a buyout. Probably a bit much, but like really to get the really good scouts now, like our scouting staff is pretty good, but like to get those elite ones, it comes with a price tag, and it's kind of annoying, to be honest with you. These are in no particular order. I have a bunch of screenshots that I'm going to show you. Let's see. We had over the summer, Ibrahim gets his first goal with Portugal against Malta, which, you got to start somewhere, right? 22nd, or as you can see, they're 22 years old, 30th cap. I mean, he's playing right back, but it's like, gets his first goal. He's pretty happy about that. Casapa last season. I'm trying to do this as like the news highlights that have popped up over since, since the end of the season. 26 clean sheets is a team record. The prior record was 21, also by Casapa. Colombani, 21 assists is a team record. As we mentioned, 18, I think, is the league record. I think. We'll have to check that. But the previous team record was 18 from Giallo in 2023. It's been, what is it, 12 seasons? 12 seasons since we got close to that. That's crazy. Here's your commercial summary. Again, I know this is not in any particular order. This is just an easier way than having 7 save files and having to load, and that takes a long time for me. Taking screenshots, I'm like, oh, I can take screenshots. That's easier, right? So new Continental sponsor up, what is that, 400 and something grand, 425,000 grand. So sponsorships up about 1.8 million, 1.7 something. Broadcast revenues are up. Obviously, competition prize money is down because we didn't make that run in the Champions League, nor in the Coppa Italia. Corporate hospitality is down just a fuzz. Match day commercial also down just a fuzz because, again, we're not having those extra games. But I love that you got number 14, Silva, and then number 43, Colombani, and then number 2, Ibrahim, number 1, Casapa, and number 5, Jose Carlos. 3 defenders, my friends, as the top kit sales. And again, to point that out, because I think about this every time, Old Lady Play says, I've never seen a team have more than 50% of their merch sale be non-domestic. We're at like 70%. That's crazy. It's literally, this season we went to China, or this upcoming season for our preseason training camp tour thing, and then last season in the United States, and before that, like, so we're building up. I think next season, because we're have the stadium coming in, we'll do a local one. So preseason training will be local. Bring people in. Look at the shiny new stadium we built. That probably has no impact in the game of Football Manager, but from a narrative standpoint, I think it makes sense. 33,000 shirts seems like a lot. Pedrelli here has been noted as excited to see a global superstar at the club, which I don't think I've gotten that feedback from fan reaction on anybody we've ever bought ever. Ameri got his first Albanian goal, 22 years old, 23rd cap. So 22 years old, you start getting goals, apparently, even though it's your 23rd and 30th caps. I thought that was kind of interesting. We almost lost this kid, Fabrizio Manzini, one of our new youth intake players. You notice the arrow is doing the good thing, right? His potential is only 2.5 star. It could be wrong. He's got some ways to go on the crossing and dribbling, but physical has some development. He's 17. He's worth 155 grand. We almost had him poached by, I think, Lazio for 850 grand. Like, they'd made some transfer offers. I was like, no. Like, he just got here. Like, ease up. Like, chill out for a little bit. And then they came in with like, wherever the magical line is where it's like, oh, you'd have to pay compensation because you're just going to straight up offer him a contract, which I still don't truly understand how that works, to be honest with you. But it gave me the opportunity. Like, it's not like it was built into the game. I just went to his contract and offered him a contract to go to $2,000, because if he's worth 850 grand now, I kind of feel like he might be worth more in the future. Although you could argue, you could cash in on a youngster, but we've had a bit of a problem with having enough homegrown players. We'll talk about that. And so I was like, I think he's decent enough to keep around and see how he turns out. And it's worth the $2,000 investment. We were paying him $250 a week. Now we're upping that by $1,750. I think it's worth it. Maybe so is back in Italy. I just love that. Fiorentina picked him up for like 1.9 million, something like that. So, was it Burnley picked him up on a free, and then they flipped him for I'm sure a small profit. Now they had to pay his wages, right? He's down to 53 grand a week. I just think that's kind of cool that, he's back. It's like, hey man, how you doing? We got, I can't remember what order this is in. This is the Champions League money. One of it was for Coefficient, and one of it was for, I don't know, TV revenue, whatever the other one that you get is. So like, what is that? 14 and 16 is 30.5 million, which was quite nice. Serie A award winners were announced. Felipe Neto was the best defender of the season. We didn't have anybody else win an award, at least in terms of being the best. We had another first goal. Gunesh, 48th cap. But I just think it's awesome that we've had a left back, a center back, and a right back get their first goals in international. I just think it's great. And Ameri, most likely, I didn't go watch, but I'm guessing Ameri's was from a set piece because he's set piece maestro, obviously. We got this, and I think this is what I saw the last time. Stayed in 8th position in the European club rankings for next season. Now, what they mean by club rankings is not reputation rankings, which, is what you'd think when you talk about club rankings. But what they mean is the coefficient ranking. So we've stayed in 8th. I'm almost certain that's what it was last season, when I was like, we're in 8th, but we're not in 8th. How are we not in 8th? I don't. That's why. So it's the coefficient rankings. And then PSG poached one of our coaches for $750,000. I don't know about you. I don't get too fussed about that. I'm like, hey, you give us $750,000 for a coach, and I'll just go sign another one. And maybe we have to pay some compensation or not. We actually ended up doing a lot of promoting. Right? Like, we pulled, like, our assistant manager retired, and so we promoted our under 20 manager because he applied to be an assistant. So that career development for him, that career growth, I thought that was important. And then I can't remember if we signed somebody from the outside to be the under 20s manager, or if we promoted somebody and then, things like that. We definitely, I think, pulled up our under 18 goalkeeping coach to be the under 20 at one point. I'll click on the transfer page and I know you can look at it, but I want to not show you everything right now. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with our transfer window. Again, I don't think it's as impactful as the last one. I think last transfer window was massive for us. Obviously, the big thing here is that we've sold Lothar, and netted a lot of money for that, and then turned around and invested. Garage door right before the transfers. Okay, it's still going, but there it is. We got a lot of money for Lothar, though I think you can argue clearly we didn't get enough, and then we spent like almost double that on Pedrelli, I think is the name. I don't want to. It's so hard being here and being like, well, don't click off yet. But I think we have reinforced well, And I think we have offloaded well, and we're generating some income well. I think it's overall been pretty good. So I'm going to just go straight to the outs. I'm not going to bring up that other screen. I will tell you what the totals are at the top of each column. It's just easier for me as a content creator not to have to put the black box and move it around and mess with it in Premiere Pro. So let's go to the first out, and then I'll tell you the totals 1 second. We've spent 91 million, and we've sold or brought in income, and it totals it up at the top of that column on the far side on your outs, 81 million. So what does that mean? Yeah, I think you could argue we probably didn't get enough for Lothar, especially because it was Chelsea and they spend money, right? But again, I kind of panicked, and I still think it was a good deal for us, to be honest with you. He's only had 3 substitute appearances. He's on a 6.7, so that makes you feel a little bit better that he's not just immediately come in and like been lights out. It is kind of sad because he did finish very, very strong for us. But I mean, if you looked at these, I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think it's reasonable to expect him to get, 50% more goals. Maybe he was motivated. He was just trying to show the Chelsea manager, hey, I'm worth it. The fact that we were able to get the deal done, we got the inconsistency off, and we still made like 4 million, I think is still a positive. It's just not as positive as it could have been. Like, I think we probably could have gotten 45 million from Chelsea. But I just wanted to get the deal done. And I was afraid if I pushed too hard, they'd back out and then we would just be sunk and not get Pedretti. So he's gone. So 1 second. We sold Pisoni. Andrew West, I know you said to keep him. I was really torn on this one, but we got a great deal, and he didn't do so hot last season. Okay. We got 16.5 million for him guaranteed. And then with some add-ons, it rises to 20.5 million. And I think part of the add-ons are installments. So I think this number might actually increase regardless of his playing time, but he's already had 8 appearances. So I don't think we'll have to worry about the appearances if that was one of the things I included. You know what? I did have it saved. So I guess I could just show you that, couldn't I? There it is. There it is now. After 50 appearances, another 4 million, and we get 20% of the profit of the next sale. So we could, I think we'll probably go ahead and cash that in as soon as we can, to be honest with you, because I don't think, right? Like, if you just look at the value, right? They gave us 16.5 million and he's worth 10.75. Now, is that because he went to South Korea? But hey, there you go. I thought trying to get 12 million was going to be tough, right? Because he kind of peaked at that last season and then he dropped down below 10. It was like 9.5 or 7.5 or something like that. To get 16.5 million for David Pisoni, I think is a steal. I think we've robbed them blind, especially because he had a 6.65 in 13 total appearances, plus 2 cup appearances, plus a continental appearance. If you look at the trajectory here, he had 1 really good season. I just think it's a good deal. And strangely enough, he's not gone alone. Maybe one of them went first and was like, I want you to bring in a teammate of mine. And they were like, well, yeah, we were already planning on that. We sold Thomas Broggi to the same team. My friends. Also has had 8 appearances. Now, I don't have the South Korean League loaded. At least not yet. I can't remember if I added it or not. 20.5 million straight up. Do I have a screenshot of that? I do, but it says the same thing, so I'm not going to show you that. 20.5 million straight up. I just feel like we've robbed them blind on both of them, to be honest with you. Do we have South Korea? Do I really need to? I'm not going to add it because we already have 140,000 players down here, and yeah, we're not going to be bringing in a ton of South Korean players. We're just not. Like, non-EU slots, right? If we're going to bring in non-EU players, it's going to be from South America. That's just reality. But 20.5 plus 16.5 guaranteed is 37 million for those 2 players. I'm sorry, I think that's a great deal for us. As you can see, the value has gone. Now, again, I don't know if that's because I don't have the league loaded, because the value is based on their contract, or it doesn't really matter. I feel like they've overpaid either way. I was just really happy about that one. Youth prospect went on loan to Pontedera, for wages, so we're not paying any of the wages, but no extra fee. Going with him, Paul Andronace, who is 6'6". He's the next the next Samba Sao. Already has a whole start on a 6.9, but they're paying his wages. Gives him a year to develop, and then we could try and sell this summer. Next up, we have re-loaned Peter Moita, who and he was pretty unhappy, but he's happy because we've re-loaned him, and we sent him to Verona, who are in Serie B now, yes, and have been. Okay, so kind of a mid-table, upper, top half type team, and they are giving us 30 grand a month, which is 300 grand, which you could argue isn't enough, but it's more than we got last season, my friends. So it gives him an opportunity to develop. One of the reasons we wanted to loan him out was because we didn't have enough homegrown. I don't think he counts as homegrown, does he? No, he's Polish. So we didn't have enough homegrown Italian players, and so that was a contributing factor. And also, I just didn't feel like with these mentals, right, especially the 9s and the 10s and the 11s here, I felt like he needed another season. Like, rather than giving him 8 games of substitutions or the occasional cup start or whatever, I felt like he needed full-time minutes, and so that's what he's gone to Verona to do. And as you can see, he's improving. So we'll have to we still have a couple seasons left before we have to make a decision, but I think this is really good for him, especially from a reporting standpoint. He's still operating at that level, and he's got that 4-star potential. I just think getting the game time is going to help him reach that. And Verona's got, I think why I picked Verona was they've got great training facilities. We had a couple options. One was good training facilities. They were great. I took that, and he's taking advantage. So I think that's a good one, and we're getting paid. We have sold a youth prospect, Lombardo, who was on loan last season somewhere. Yes, it's super important. I'm going to show you, to Vespasario. I think they paid his wages. He didn't really do all that hot. And we've sold him to Fano for 75 grand, which I think is a great deal. I mean, it's a drop in the bucket these days, but if you can get 75 grand for a youth prospect, your academy is paying for itself. This is the idea. We've kept Rene Gall in Italy this time. FC Copenhagen was interested, but they didn't want to come forth with an offer, and I was trying to continue. You always want to up how much you're getting for the player. I did try and sell him, and no one wanted to offer what he was worth, in my opinion. And I went, okay, well, we've got at least a season, right? We get 2 seasons left, but like next summer is kind of the decision time, right? You either extend him or you sell him. It's kind of how I'm trying to build our program here. And so we got, what is it? 170? Yeah, 170. So what's concerning here is this should have a number next to it. And I know we already talked about that, but if that's a bug in Football Manager, I'm quite irritated by it. But at the very least, we've gone up from 1.4, and theoretically, this is also 1.4 to 1.7. And, keeps him in Italy, and we'll see how he does. Fiorentina is back in Serie A. They've kind of bounced up and down, and they're back. So, we'll see him every once in a while. Good for him. Probably gonna sell, but we're definitely in the profit zone, right? Like, even if this is a 0, which it shouldn't be, we've at least covered the wages for the entire time that he's been here and the transfer fee. So whatever we do from here on out is pure profit. So I think this still counted. I didn't care enough to go like look at our financial statement to see, oh, like it went up this much each month, and that means we've gotten this payment. But either way, we're good. We have reloaned Jacopo Signorini, but this time to Cremonese in Serie B. He had an offer that would pay his wages and then some, but it was Serie C, and he's a Serie B talent, and I think it's important to continue to push him. I don't think he's really going to make it, but we did extend him up until 2038. I almost kept him because we had, again, I keep talking about this, a homegrown player problem, because we sold Passoni and Broghi, who are 2 of our 8 homegrown players, because we've obviously imported a bunch of players from elsewhere, and it became a problem, but we solved it. I almost was like, but then we solved the problem, and so we loaned him out. It's fine. And so I think this is good for him because he's going to get more game time and continue to develop. And, can he get that? Again, if he's a 3-star, he's a Paul Kufner. That's not a problem. Now you're going like, wait a minute. I thought Paul was going, and this guy was going to come take his spot. I don't think I have the screenshot for it, but Paul changed his mind. He called me back. He's like, listen, I was being unreasonable. I'm great with being I was like, I don't know, fringe player. And I was like, dude, I'll make you a squad player. And that was it. He didn't want increasing game time. He's kind of realized he's got it good here. We've won the title twice now, consistently in the Champions League. You want to be a squad player on that team? Come on down, Paul. Sign a new contract. It's great. I'll show you that here in a little bit. But like, so that's why we loaned this kid out, which is probably good because he's not up to Paul. Just not yet. Another youth prospect that we sold to Chievo for 55 grand. Nothing really exciting about this one. I just want to show you. We have sold Noah Bonnet for not enough money, but it just wasn't going to work out. We sold him for 1.8 million. I don't think there's any add-ons. There might be. Yeah, I was just trying to get rid. We came out ahead. Even again, I think we've definitely covered the wages even for the season he was here and gave us a whole 3 substitute appearances. But what was that? 3.4 million. That leaves us 600 grand. That would cover his wages, and then he actually played a little bit here. Well, we loaned him for some of his wages. We've come out ahead, but it's more of like a break-even-ish type feel. It just wasn't, it was a gamble. We knew that. We knew when we went to Belgium and we called him up from Standard Liège and we were like, hey, how you doing? 2.8 million. Some might argue not even really worth talking about. I think he had the opportunity, if he had developed better, to have done all right for us. But we introduced him to Turkey and now he's got a Turkish career. So good for him. We sold this guy and I wasn't convinced that it was a good idea, but we got 150 grand for him. Youth prospect. We'd left him in the squad instead of loaning him out. He just wasn't ever going to get to our level. And I think 150 grand was pretty fair value. I think there might have been some add-ons, but Did I mention 16 players have left? I think I forgot to leave that out. You're like, this is going long. Gianluca Fiorani. I was real torn. You could argue he's going to be better than Ameri, just from a star standpoint. He's got that potential 3rd star. Ameri is at 2.5, as you can see down here. But we were kind of in that spot where we had a year left, okay, that I keep talking about. And this is something that I feel like I have learned as a football manager is you can loan them out all you want, but you got to leave enough room for there to be a year on that contract for you to sell them on or to extend them and reloan them if they've got the potential, they're showing it, or to promote them to the first team or whatever. And Gianluca Fiorani was not doing that. We gave him a season in Serie B. We gave him 2 seasons. And he did okay, but it wasn't like he was just crushing Serie B. Now you could argue, hey, as a defender, whatever. But I think getting $2 million for him is a fair value. And we have other options. So you got to think we paid 2.9 for Hope Oladapo, who has higher potential. So this kind of, we've already talked about paying for that, but this kind of is the same idea. It's well, would you rather have Hope or Gianluca? Now, the only thing is Gianluca is a homegrown talent, or homegrown nation. Oh, yeah, and from our academy. But I thought it was worth the risk. I can't get anybody to buy this guy. Victor Rangel has gone out to Ravenna for 50% of his wages. So we're not even getting his whole wages. This is what I'm talking about. He had a year left. I could not get, I tried all that. I didn't want to give him away for free. We've earned 4.5 grand from him. That's not going to cover the wages. But those other things, you talk about your academy paying for itself. Sometimes you have these that you can't get interest and whatever, but your other ones you sold for 2 million and it helps cover the wages for everybody else. So we're still being profitable from an academy standpoint. We have loaned Francesco Nicolini to Pisa, and he's already improving. Oh, I just love to see that. They're back in Serie A. They came back. How you doing? Pisa's kind of the place that. We must have a good connection. I don't know what that's about. We had Joel go to them. He's still there. They're giving us 30 grand a month. That's on top of the 160 grand we got from Pescara in Serie B last season, where he rocked and rolled the 715. So you could argue, right? He's definitely a Serie B level. And I can't remember what Pisa agreed to. Where is he? Squad player. But I'm kind of well, he's probably going to get squad player minutes here, but they've got superb training facilities like we do. And we're going to get 30 grand a month. It's kind of what I was thinking. There's always a chance that they play more than squad player, and I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought it was more likely to happen with them than with us. It keeps him in Italy. He's still with the Serie A team. He's got the training facilities, and since he's not playing, maybe he can use those training facilities to make those arrows keep going that way. So I was a little torn, but I just thought it was more likely. So, hey. Next, we have this guy. Well, wait a minute. I don't recognize him. Belman Baganovic? AC Milan is loaning him. That's because we bought him from AC Milan. He was worth like $5 million, and they were never going to take that because, that's not how this works. But we got him for $16 million, and it's like if he gets to 50 goals and 50 appearances and whatever, it rises to like 24. But I thought he's a pretty good prospect, and we just made it part of the contract that they, his current wages, he was on 15.5. We obviously had to pay him more, so we're essentially eating 22 grand a week to have him. And he's a squad player, but last season for them, or no, he was on loan last season. I guess I misinterpreted that. He had 33 starts last season, which was pretty good. But I thought, AC Milan has really good training facilities, and I don't know. I was a little torn because he's professional. It'd be good to bring him in to work on his determination a little bit, but he's already had 2 starts and a goal and a 7.7. So you'd argue you keep playing him if you're AC Milan. But I kind of looked at it like an investment. I didn't want to just, I was real worried about, I think we talked about this at the end of last episode. Where it's like, I was looking at the gaps, and Pedrelli solved a gap on right wing. And I was like, okay, I didn't feel like midfield was a gap, right? Even with selling Brogan and Passoni, right? We have Contreras, we have Arnaud Richard, we have De Silva, we have Ken Luce, right? Like, you could argue, well, there's just 4 there, and that's fair. But we can always change our shape. We can go to the 3-4-3 and play with 2 midfielders if we've got like an injury crisis. There's ways to work through those things. And I didn't want a good player just sitting on the bench not playing if I could prevent it. Now, the only thing when you do a transfer now and you say I want to loan back, this is the problem I think on FM19 is like it would just loan them back for like no wages and like no squad status or whatever. But now it does it as a squad player, and you can determine the amount of wages. And so I thought, hey, AC Milan's going to have a wonder kid still. Surely they're going to play him, even if it's squad player, right? And he's done well for them, as you can see. So why not? Why wouldn't you play him? And it's an investment for the future to where we're not disrupting the dynamics aspect of the squad. Now, if we have like a Ken Luce leave or a Contreras leave or Richard or any, like if they get plucked away and get upset and turn in a transfer request, something like that, we already have that player lined up for next season. It's almost feel like it's like when we signed Richard so early in like, I guess it was like the end of January, but it was an end of contract. We knew 6 months in advance he was coming in, which allows for better planning. It's kind of the same thing. I can now plan if we lose somebody next season, we have this guy coming in. Or if he suddenly increases in capability, he's got 4 or 5 star potential. Does he take a spot? Does he allow us to then sell somebody? But we're not having to worry about him, rotting on the bench since we don't have 17 different cups in Italy to play him in. I don't know. I just thought it protected the dynamics, and I thought that was important while still being able to like guarantee us we have a good player coming in. Seemed pretty solid. Now to the ins. 65 million all in on this guy. He's already got 3 goals in 2 starts in Serie A. I think it was a hat trick. Was it? Was it a hat trick? Nope, I'm wrong. Oh, he had 2 goals and not an assist. But it was an assist. I don't know what I'm thinking. But he's on 8.1 in 2 games. I mean, I know it's early days, but like, pretty happy about that. Not going to lie. We do have him working on attack, and I have him training, I think, on shooting. No, he was, but then we went into preseason. So we're going to have him work on his shooting because he needs to work on his shooting. Clicked the wrong button and almost showed you all the transfers. Whew. I'm just real happy. Professional elite winger is just the dream. Like, is a natural at the inside forward. So good. And on contract for 5 more years. Let's go. So remember how we said we had like I've said it multiple times now, we had a problem with not enough homegrown Italian players. You could always bring up like an under 20 or an under 18 and register them, but none of the ones we had were really all that good. Could have kept Nicolini. Wanted to have game time. And I was really looking for somebody that could play the attacking mid center. Now, is Gergo Dombi, not sure if that's how you say it, up to stuff? No, he's not. He's kind of Pisoni, right? Like, good free kicks, 15. First touch, he's got some green in here, but like, he's kind of Pisoni. However, we loaned him for all of 2,000 a week, and if we don't pay him, 71 grand, which is what, 15, 16, 17 grand a week? Essentially like 19 or 20 grand a week all in. Call it 20 grand all in. And he's homegrown Italian and solved the problem for us and provides some cover. Like, I just thought it was a good deal. Like I literally, this is the first time I've done this in a while, is like going through the scouting screen and looking for the, adding to your search, homegrown nation is Italy. And there weren't a whole lot of options that were affordable. Like, we could go splash a bunch of cash, but like, we just did that. And I wasn't trying to, it's like, you want to take that 20 million you just got for Pisoni and hold on to some of it and use it elsewhere, especially if you're looking for a backup, right? Like, De Silva's going to play the attacking mid. This guy's a backup. I don't want to go spend 10 million on a backup because I just sold the backup for 20 million, dynamics, blah, blah, blah. I might as well just kept Pisoni. But this way, we're paying, decent wages, but what is 20 grand over? That's like $1 million. Yeah, 20 over 52 weeks is $1 million, right? Right? Oh, I hate math. I don't hate math. I hate doing live math. Yeah, it's $1,040,000. So like, and we're not even paying for probably the last 2 months, but it probably shows it right here, doesn't it? Yeah, it sure does. Sure does. 400 grand. Now that's if we play him. So I think my $1 million is probably close to reality, or 800, whatever it is. But I thought, decent. And if he improves, the other kind of sneaky thing is if he improves and we like extend it next season and he really likes us, maybe we can sneak a buy in here. Like, hey, you want to just like join our team? Come on, bro. So yeah, we have a bit of an injury problem. So we put Yannick back on the plane, and then we called the plane back and went, could you come back? Could you come right back? Didn't make a single appearance for us last season. He's really not up to snuff. There were other options. The Serbian guy that I showed you has zero interest in joining us. He'll join us on loan, but his buyout clause is $2.5 million. I was like, done. $2.5 million, a backup to Paul Kufner, or a backup to Ibrahim if Paul leaves. Dunzo. And he was like, no interest whatsoever, but I'll come on loan. And the loan, they wanted us to pay like 900 grand over the season in loan fees plus his wages. And I was like, well, I could buy him for $2.5 million, but you want half that for a season, and he has no interest in coming. Like, forget you, bro. I'm gonna call Yannick back. Hey, Yannick, how you doing? Hop back on that plane, son. And now we're paying more. We're up to 12.25K. It's his full wages, but like, okay. Again, I'm not saying he's outstanding, but like, even though, it said since he left and he wasn't on our squad, it was actually a con that he wouldn't really fit in, or he'd fit into like the secondary group. But I was thinking, well, he's been here for 2 seasons. Surely he fits in, and he does. So I think that's an important thing, right? So like, oh yeah, hey guys, Yannick's back, and he's like, hey, sprechen Sie Deutsch, and they're like, hey, no, and that's the end of the scene. Last but not least, I probably could have gotten this guy for like 7 or 8 million, but I just wanted to bring in a backup keeper. I don't know about you when you're building your squads, and I've tried to show how I think about these things as we've gone through the many seasons of this save. But you start going like, all right, what's my next gap? Where's the next problem coming, right? So that's why we sold Lothar. Okay, problem solved. Boom. And I started going, okay, if Paul leaves, we have a major problem at right back. Well, Paul didn't leave. Problem solved. And then I went, if Casapa leaves or gets injured, we got a problem. John Short's good. He's 2 stars though. And I felt like we just needed a little bit more experience. And I hate that. But it's just I don't know. I just had this thing in the back of my head. I'm like, Casapa's going to break a leg this season. That's literally what was going through my mind. I'm like, if that happens, our season is pretty much toast. As good as John Short can be, he's not Casapa, and he's not going to stand on his head. And we're going to let in a ton more goals. Now, you could argue this guy isn't, exceptional, but he is an upgrade. He's a whole half-star upgrade. And he wanted to be a backup. He was a backup at Atletico Madrid. It was funny. It said that he's a proven winner. I was like, well, he's been the backup for Atletico Madrid. I guess you could call him a winner. Although he did make, a couple seasons ago, 3 starts and 2 subs and conceded 1 goal with 4 clean sheets. Is that him or Atletico Madrid? Not sure. But he wanted to be a backup and he was available. And I was like, 10 million done. Problem solved, 41 grand. Long-term contract, resolute, so good mentals. And, I think what's drawing him down is probably his physicals a little bit. His punching isn't great. His first touch isn't great. And his eccentric stuff isn't great. But, the rest of his goalkeeping capabilities are pretty darn good. And he wanted to be a sweeper keeper. And I was like, done. I'll add that to the promises on the contract. And so we now have 3 keepers. Because, again, if we had a, amazing young goalkeeper, right? Daniele Bonacorsi has a opportunity to become good, but he's not there yet, and he's young. I kind of feel like we've been running really young on all of our keepers, and this guy is that, that steady hand that can come in to be like, I'm 2 years older, but he's been with Atletico Madrid and they've won lots of stuff. So that steady hand, if something happens, he's there. We don't have to panic and whatever. And as you can see here, my friends, Ibrahim tore his hamstring. This guy, it's he's Christian Pulisic. He's so fast, his hamstrings can't keep up. Groin strain, abdominal strain, twisted ankle, pulled calf muscle, and then this. 4 weeks with another, was it 4 to 6 to go? 3 to 6 to go? Not ideal. But it's impacted his bravery and just a little bit of the pace. As soon as we can, we're going to put him on general rehab to rehab that pace and all that kind of stuff. But that's why Yannick came back in. I was like, oh dear. If something happens to Paul Kufter, we are up a creek, my friends. And then Paul got a gashed leg, and then we had to play a game, actually 2 games, I think, without him. Was not fun. Was it 2 games? Let's go take a look. We won our first, if we went, so we had 2 games. We played Richard. We played a 3-4-3 with Richard as the wingback because he does know it. Not exceptionally well, but he does know it, my friends. And he did his bang-up job. He got an assist and a 7.5. So I thought that was Yet, once again, I'm really glad we signed him. And we squeaked it against Inter 2-1. They had a penalty. Of course they did. You let me know in the comments. Should that add to our penalty counter? Is playing Inter, who finished 4th last season and getting a penalty against us in the second game of the season, does that count? I think it does. It's ding. If we got it against Perugia, you'd be like, it's not a big game. That's just a penalty. But I was just like, really? Here we go again. And then we smashed Genoa and then gave up some goals late because we subbed off. We had Carlos and Neto on yellows, and so we brought on Emery and Hope to give them some game time. As you can see, we smashed everyone we played from a preseason standpoint, so that was good. And now we got the international break, and we take on Juventus. And I don't think, let's see, that's in 2 days. Paul is going to be back in 2 days, so he may be back then. But that's why I've got to set up as the 3-4-3 again, is to try and protect that right back spot a little bit by having an extra defender. Now you could argue, well, it's Emery. In the last game, it was Hope. I'm trying to give them some game time. But again, Emery, 7-3-1 last season, 10 starts, 7 subs, 2 assists, my friends. I'm just saying, I'm expecting more of them, and I haven't offered him a new contract. So this is what the squad looks like. The only change, we're going back to the 4-2-3-1, you drop Emery and drop Richard and bring in Ibrahim or Paul, obviously, and then Ken Loose, who is here. Okay, we would take him out and bring on Ibrahim, and the attacking mid. So yeah, so bring Contreras back on. So it's essentially the same starting 11 as last season when everyone's healthy. But now we have Israel on the bench. We have Hope on the bench. Again, I'm trying to give him some game time like we did Ameri. They're going to kind of rotate, but again, now we have a second option if we have an injury crisis at center back. He can cover inverted left wing back in a bind, but not really all that well. I'd rather do this with Richard playing the wing back. Kaluga's still here. Yannick is back as the emergency. We have this guy to cover the attacking mid. We still have Lorenzo hanging out. John Short's still here. Boateng is dropped in current ability. Needs to impress. He's only had 4 minutes and one substitute. Joaquim came on as a substitute in 26 minutes and scored the winning goal against Inter. Like, threw himself at a set piece. It was amazing. Bettini had a bit of an injury knock, but is still here. And my friends, look at that. Oh, is he the next Paul Colomani? But like reversed, right? Well, reversed because he's right-footed, and reversed because he's more striker than winger but can't play winger versus more winger but can't play striker. Just saying. 17. He's about to be 18. Pretty excited about him. And then, yeah, that's how we line up, my friends. So we're going to hop forward to, or I think I've already taken us here to the group stage draw. So let's do that. And then we'll go back and watch Joaquim throw himself at the goal. I just love that. Came on as a sub and like launched himself into it. It doesn't matter. Let's go. All right, we are in Group F, my friends, so we don't have to worry about Liverpool. That's nice. Yay. Oh, boy. Salzburg, Chelsea, or Man City? Ooh. We've really irritated Salzburg. We're going after one of their center backs and one of their attacking midfielders. That would be kind of interesting. Oh. I mean, we played them before, but it's just like, come on. Okay, next could be Sevilla. Porto would be the dream, or Genk, just not Sevilla. Yes, let's go. Lowest on the coefficient table in that group of remaining teams, I should say. And then Inter, Lokomotiv Moscow, Schalke, Lokomotiv Moscow. I think it's a decent group. I think we should be expected to get out of that. Feeling a little bit more confident. You know, it's helpful when you guys are like, remember how you're like winning Serie A? You're like Juventus now. Like you've won it twice now and you're doing all right. Man City 4th with Unai Emery. 2 seasons running. A 3rd. Oh dear. A bit of a drop off, my friends. Porto, up and down, up and down. Okay. And then Schalke. Oh, won the league and then dropped back down. And this guy looks like a player. Yes. Interesting. He's had some good jobs. Oh, you can't see this. I'm sorry. There's his jobs. Was a player for Getafe and then, was that Lille? Right? Lille? Yes. And then managed Hammarby, Fiorentina, Nice, Marseille, Leipzig for a very short period of time, and now Schalke. That's kind of interesting. Is that Loic Reme? Maybe? But I think we should feel pretty confident getting out of that. You know, Porto might be challenging because they're obviously winning their league. So you beat Schalke twice, and you beat Porto once and draw with them once, and you probably feel okay. Maybe. Really bad at this. Okay, we did the draw. Oh, they've got to put it on the calendar. And the transfer window is about to close. I'm starting to just play the first 2 games of the season so we can get to the transfer window. So there's no like, oh, surprise, here's a player you didn't know about. Blah, 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 blah. Who do we play first, my friends? That's going to be next episode. Porto. I think we're going to do Porto Man City. That seems like quite the episode, doesn't it? In terms of who we are annoying Salzburg about, Ricardo Silva is a 2-star. but potential 4.5-star center back. And you're like, dude, you don't need more center backs, but I don't know. Part of me is just kind of poking the bear a little bit, making them mad because they've been so good. But I thought, man, at those wages, if we can get him for 15 or 20 million, but it's gone up, and I've kind of walked away. I did put him as a target, and now he's mad that he wasn't able to join. So maybe we can unsettle him, and in January get him for a bargain. And the only other thing, my friends, that I was going to show you, this was massive because you got to think, right? Like, we're playing 3-4-3, which we haven't played in a while. We got Richard playing. He got the man of the match, as you can see up there. We were playing a midfielder as a wingback that he's not really. He's like doing the Giroud, right? Except opposite, or maybe Giroud knew both as a midfielder, DM, and wingback. Richard knows the midfield and DM, and it kind of knows the wingback. So I just think it's massive that he came in. Hey, boss. Yep, I'm in, and got the assist. I don't think it was this. I think his assist was to Pedrelli. I like saying Pedrelli. It's very, very fun. But right here, I don't know. That maybe doesn't look like much to you, but like, I just love that he just threw it. Like, he literally had just come on. Right? 64th minute. Like, before the kick came on, immediately scores. And it's like, impact sub. Thank you. Have a nice day. So I'm curious what your thoughts are. Finances, we got 48 million in the bank. 25 million still in the transfer budget because we sold 2 of our products for 20 million each. Projection's still not great. Profit loss is increasing, which is nice. Turnover still a little bit lower, which is interesting. I'm really curious. I don't remember looking at this with Capintilli and building the stadium, so I'm curious what you think is going to happen to these numbers. Like, will this turnover go up? Or is it just like, well, I mean, it's great that you got 50% more seats, but in contrast to like Champions League money, it doesn't really matter. What are your thoughts? Hit the like button, my friends. Thanks for sticking with me so long. Have a good one.